Let's see how Labour's feeling about its first full year back in office. And I can speak now to the party's chair, Anna Turley. Good morning.
Good morning, Trevor. Hi.
Before we get on to the politics, later I'll be talking to Joe Bennett, whose parents, Lindsay and Craig Foreman, are going to spend Christmas week locked up in Tehran's Evin prison. Are you aware if the Foremans have actually been charged with anything?
I'm afraid I'm not aware of that at the moment, but I'm sure as a government we'll be doing everything we can to meet with the family and to find out everything we can about the situation and to assist.
But what is the Foreign Office actually saying to the Iranians? I mean, these people have been there since, I think, the 3rd of January this year.
Obviously, this is a really, really difficult situation for them and for their families, and we think about them particularly at this time of year. So I'm sure the Foreign Secretary will be doing everything that they can to assist them. And it's something, of course, that the government takes seriously. We care for every British citizen around the country. So I know that this time of year we'll be working hard to do everything we can to support the family.
All right, let's get on to the hard politics. The leader of the opposition said the following: "We have a Prime Minister who is so scared of being unpopular that he's incapable of taking tough decisions until it's too late." Not Kemi Badenoch, in fact, but Keir Starmer speaking of Boris Johnson in 2020. But wouldn't those words apply just as accurately to Starmer himself after 18 months of U-turns?
This interview is going viral for one clear reason, not because Labour revealed something powerful, but because they failed to explain what people are desperate to understand. Every answer sounds rehearsed, every defense feels incomplete, and every pause exposes a deeper problem. What you're about to hear isn't confidence, it's damage control. This is a government under pressure, cornered by falling poll numbers, broken promises, and a public that's losing patience fast. Instead of clear answers, you get deflections. Instead of solutions, you get excuses. And that's exactly why this moment matters. Listen carefully, because between the words, there's a silence that says more than any statement, a silence that reveals confusion at the top, fear of accountability, and a truth they're struggling to hide. This isn't just one bad interview, it's a snapshot of a party that no longer controls the narrative, and voters are noticing.
Is the problem here with the voters that they just haven't noticed how lucky they've been? You've lost 14 points in polls since the election. What's gone wrong?
Well, I think rightly people are impatient for change. We all are. And people voted for change. That was on the front of our manifesto last year. But it takes time to deliver that. It takes time to stabilise things from the chaos that we inherited. For example, our employment rights bill, which is going to have a huge impact on people in terms of more maternity and paternity rights, that's only just been able to get through Parliament. So change takes time to deliver, especially when you had to have the inheritance that we had for getting public services on their knees. But yes, we're starting to see improvements in the NHS. Satisfaction is on the up. We've delivered 5 million more appointments. This is real, tangible change. And of course, we know things are still tough for people. You know, we live in the real world. We know, things are still hard. But I'm conscious with every single day that goes by next year, people will really start to see and feel more money in their pockets, better public services when they're looking for an appointment with the doctor, their streets and their neighbourhoods looking better and better. And that change takes time, but we will be delivering that in the new year. And I'm confident people will really start to see that.
Can I suggest an alternative reason for the voters apparently not having noticed all this wonderfulness? Do we need to count the promises that you made that haven't got delivered? Winter fuel allowance cut, promised but not delivered. No tax rises, promised but not delivered. Day one rights in the employment bill that you've just talked about, promised but not delivered. Trans guidance, promised but not delivered. I could do this all morning. Isn't the problem here that every time you've been confronted with one of these difficult choices you mentioned a couple of minutes ago, actually what's happened is you've run away, and maybe that's the reason the voters haven't been noticing all the wonderful things you've done?
What's happening here is a familiar political move. When trust starts to slip, governments stop talking about the future and start listing achievements. Wages, school meals, childcare, appointments. On paper, it sounds positive. But voters aren't spreadsheets. They measure success by daily pressure, not long-term promises. When politicians say you're better off, but people don't feel it, The gap between message and reality becomes political danger.
The former Housing Minister, Deputy Prime Minister Andrew Rayner, sat here when she was still in that job and said, no worries, 1.5 million homes. We're going to be getting on to 300,000 homes a year. You haven't even got near 200,000 housing starts.
Well, again, as I said, these things take time to deliver. You know, everyone wants change tomorrow, and that's the world that we live in, and we understand that. But I know Steve Reed, the new Housing Secretary, is absolutely obsessed with this. I've seen him in his baseball cap saying, build, baby, build. We're delivering the legislation. We're putting everything in place to deliver these houses because we know that young people in particular want to get their foot on the housing ladder. And we know that for a generation, people have been left behind without the ability to get the homes that they need. And that's what this Labour government is delivering.
All right.
This is where the tone shifts. The questions stop being polite and start reflecting public frustration. Promises were made clearly, and voters remember them clearly. When delivery is delayed again and again, explanations start to sound like excuses. Saying these things take time only works once. After that, it begins to feel like avoidance. This is where governing parties lose credibility, not through scandal, but through fatigue.
The electorate doesn't seem to be buying it. He is the most unpopular Prime Minister still since they started counting these ratings. Is that why you're allowing councils to put off elections until next year?
No, not at all. We're undertaking the biggest change in local government in 50 years, and that takes time. And councils have come to us saying that they don't feel that they've got the ability to manage this process. So we're engaging with them. And it's right that we don't put things forward for an election when councils don't feel that they've got the capacity and the ability to deliver them. So it's really important that we have this conversation. We do it in a managed way. This is a huge programme of local government reform, and it's right that we do it sensibly and calmly, and that takes time to deliver. Nonsense, not at all. We're a team. We've got a great Prime Minister. We're united behind him. We'll continue to keep battling that. And it's the job that gets me out of bed every morning is to think about my community here in Redcar, to put more money into people's pockets, to get jobs and opportunities for young people, and to help our communities get a real boost so that people know the country has got a really strong, positive future and that Labour is delivering on their public services, on their cost of living, and on the things that really matter to them.
Anna Turley, thank you for your time this morning.
This is the heart of the problem. When voters stop believing explanations, they look elsewhere. Reform's rise isn't about loyalty, it's about protest. And leadership approval matters more than parties like to admit. When a Prime Minister becomes personally unpopular, every delay, every justification, every wait a bit longer sounds worse. This interview isn't just about Labour's first year. It's about what happens when trust breaks faster than policy can fix it.